Let me now bring on board Suresh Mahadevan, Managing Director and Head of Equities with UBS Securities. Suresh, morning. Thank you for joining us. Suresh, first let's discuss the implications of crude and gold. In the near term, how positive and how constructive is that for our markets?
Yeah, good morning, Nikunj. Thanks for having me on the show. Yeah, certainly I think as you outlined earlier, both these are very positive developments because I think India's current problem is certainly growth, not so much inflation, we think, given the inflation trajectory. So I think, a lower current account deficit obviously gives RBI more room to cut. And I wouldn't be surprised if these levels sustain on crude and gold, that we see more than expected interest rate cuts in the coming months. Because certainly I think the consensus is around 50 more, I would guess. But I think it could be 100 or 150 more if we manage to tame the current account deficit. And it also bodes well for the currency. One thing to bear in mind, though, I think is that, does it have a negative impact on flows, other things remaining the same? That is something that remains to be seen because, as long as you have a current account deficit, you need to fund that. And I also think that, with Japan doing so well this year and to a certain extent US, a lot of interest back in the United States, that may not be very positive for the GEM from an asset allocation perspective. So that's something we need to see. But as you rightly pointed out, I think in the longer term, a lower crude and lower gold certainly bodes very well for India macro.
Suresh, let's start talking about earnings first. And what has been your analysis post what Infi actually did? The stock got hammered down, but is it anywhere close to bottoming out and around 2300 levels? Does it become a buy?
See, our analyst is positive on the stock. She still believes in the, I think, demand recovery story, particularly out of the US. And clearly, I think, Infosys has disappointed this quarter, no two ways about it, particularly on the margins. But having said that, I think, at 2300, what is the risk reward? I think we certainly believe the risk reward is favorable. So we have a buy on this name. So I think, our analyst still thinks the big picture of demand recovery still continues. Obviously, Infosys is a company that is undergoing a big transformation. And I think, they are probably giving up a little bit of margins to push some of the new businesses. So, but, given the stock has fallen so much, I don't think there is a lot of downside from these levels at all.
Right. Suresh, before I get into some specific names with you, I just want to once again understand the big picture. If I map how asset classes have moved in last 3 months, I guess there is definitely an evidence of profit booking. Emerging market equities are under pressure, gold is under pressure, and commodity prices have corrected. At a time when there is a lot of global liquidity, and if global liquidity is moving out of safe havens like gold, where do you think eventually global liquidity will move? Will it move into US treasuries or it will come back into emerging market equities?
See, I think there are 2 or 3 things. I think as I said earlier, Japan has been a star performer this year, and I think probably it is attracting a lot of the equity flows. And I think, that definitely doesn't bode very well for the other gems, right? And I think, don't forget that Japan is also a big part of the IFE kind of benchmarks. So that is one. Second is, as I said, I think US equities, I think people are viewing them favorably again because I think the economic numbers out of US are probably on the balance a little better. So that is the second thing. So a combination of these two in the short term may have taken some flows away from GEM. But having said that, I think, as we discuss the macro, I think India, the big 2-3 things that need to happen are one, obviously current account coming down, which will then give RBI the ammunition to kind of cut more, which certainly helps, I think, the economic recovery. I think secondly, I think the government needs to do and speed up some of these administrative measures, particularly some of the measures around coal, because, we have been talking about it for so long, some of the approvals around, infrastructure projects, etc. So that will certainly help. I don't know. We formed this cabinet committee under the Prime Minister, etc., but it doesn't seem, at least to me, that there is a lot that has come out of it. So I think a